Today is the day. I'm going to attempt to start combing out my one dread so that I can separate it into two and redread it and put in a new extension. So, I'm a coffee. Yay. Everything I need is right here. I did look at some things, and from looking at everything, of course, you're supposed to condition the hair very well when you're combing it out, and keeping it wet also helps. So I'm going to be using my conditioning oil, and I have a spray bottle with water in it. You'll also need things like a dread comb for those tiny nits to try to get them out slowly. I have a wider tooth comb in case I can get through bigger sections to make it easier to comb through with the dread comb. You're supposed to have a comb with a pintail on it, but this is what I have. It's the closest, and it still has a pretty sharp point. I think it'll help, and this little comb part. I have 3 combs, one's bound to work. Got a couple of clips, these 2 and this little guy to try to keep my other dreads out of the way. My spiral lock, and if needed, a spare hairband, because I'm trying my best to not get any of my other dreads in the way while I try to undo and redo this one. So I'm gonna get started by cutting that extension out. So I'm gonna go ahead, put my hair back, and start cutting out that extension so I can start combing and going from there. So now that I have my hair kind of pulled over, it did fine with just the spiral lock. Hopefully it all stays intact there for me. Try to get it tight to hold it in place. This is the one I'm combing out. It goes about that whole side of my head, and it's about that tall, so it really needs to be 2 dreads. And you can see it's very oddly shaped. It's pretty wide and flat. I can see where my hair is, so I'm gonna just cut some of this extension out and then soak my hair. I'm gonna go ahead and comb out the extension while my hair is just wet, and then once I start to hit hair, put some of that conditioning oil in it. So you can already see where I cut the extension and I pulled my hair back first, so let's get started. Okay, so I'm to the point now where this is all of my natural hair that was in the extension. This is the tiny bit of extension that's left. I think it goes up to about right there, but I don't want to be cutting anymore. The only reason I was cutting was to get part of the extension out. I'm wanting to keep my length as much as possible since I'm redreading it. And if you're wanting to comb out your dreads, typically you don't want to cut them all off anyways, or you trim them into a length and go from there. And when you're combing them out, I know this was extension, but also even while I'm combing this one out, there's going to be some hair in there, and it was going to look insane. It's just because with dreads, it holds all your hair instead of you shedding it every day. Before you have dreads, you look in your hairbrush and you have a bunch of hair in it. I mean, it stays in your head now, which is kind of nice because then when I shower, I don't find it in random places, but that's not the point. I do see why they tell you to use water. Your hair is a lot more elastic when you use water, and it definitely helps when you're combing that out, especially since I had extension in it, because I could feel the parts that were extension and the parts that were my hair, and that made it easier for me to separate. Go ahead and cut that extension. I'm sure I got a few hairs in there, but I mean, it's pretty much all intact. So put the oil in it, keep it wet. We're gonna get actually going now. Okay, that took about 30 minutes. But it's finally all combed out, and now you can really see, I mean, how wide it was on my head. It was too much. All this hair right here came out of the dread. This is mostly extension. Apollo supporting. Apollo. The closer I got to the scalp, a little bit more pain there was. I mean, my eyes water, my nose ran a little bit. So my dreads are only 3 months old. So that taking about 30 minutes or so to do one probably isn't bad. You've had your dreads longer, obviously it's going to be a lot harder to come out. Mine, I was able to pull apart a lot of them, and then if you saw, pull it apart and then was able to comb through or put the pointy end of my comb through. But I'm gonna give my head a break, go do a few things, and then come back and get started on separating that and dreading it. So another thing I noticed, this hair, like I've read, it's pretty healthy, and it's actually grown some. I just wanted to throw that in there. So take a break now.